going to talk about something very controversial here in the game of soccer recently. What is a handball anymore? It's incredible. There were some plays this weekend that the ball clearly hit the player's hand in the box. It prevented a shot on goal, prevented a goal. It prevented a cross. VAR looked at it and deemed it not a handball. We've got two pictures here, two games. Fulham versus Aston Villa. As you can see in the left-hand picture, Aston Villa are defending. Matty Cash goes out, leans in to block a ball. His back arm trails back behind him, and the ball hits his arm. The ball is clearly going on goal. I guarantee if it doesn't hit his arm, this goes in the back of the net. It hits his hand. Someone said that's a natural playing position. I have no idea. That boggles my mind. This blew my mind, this one. And then the next one happened in the game of the week, as we're calling it, Newcastle hosting Arsenal. As you can see, Gabriel is in the box here. He's sliding to block the ball. He actually hits the ball. The ball hits off his own foot, hits his hand, which is up in the air. Not a natural position, and deemed not a handball. Brooks, Ben, I'm at a loss. This is absolutely incredible. We don't know what a handball is in our game anymore.
It's a rough one. I mean, for me, like, what's the definition of an unnatural position? So Gabriel right there, who's sliding. I mean, some guys don't slide with their hand down by their sides, and sometimes they slide upward, just depending on where your momentum takes you. Now, if it knocks off your foot and hits your hand, is that really intentional? Your body, technically, by the letter of the law, your hand is away from your body. It's unnatural. But the thing is, it hits your foot, then hits your hand. And who would have guessed that would have happened in a million years? And then, and then that leads to a handball, right? Or a definition of what a handball would be. So it's just, there's a lot of different scenarios, and you can't go through every scenario in soccer and say, well, if it deflects off his butt cheek and hits your hand, then like it's not a foul. And then, but if it deflects off his thigh and hits off the other guy's head and it hits your hand, it's a handball. We can't go over through every little detail. So, by FIFA, they have to figure out how do we definitively say that this is a handball and isn't, and what's intentional and what's not. And VAR is supposed to catch the things that are intentional and that are
100%.
not.
100%. You're correct.
Yeah.
Ben, what's your thoughts on this? I mean, come on. It's getting a little ridiculous, is it not?
Yeah, well, almost every ref in Southeast Michigan knows my stance on handballs because I've screamed it at them over the course of one game or another. But I always thought, growing up, maybe the rule changes all the time, and I'm just not in the loop. But I always thought, even if it's in a natural position, it hits your arm and it falls to your advantage, then it was handling. But apparently that evaporated out of the rule book at some point, and now it's it needs to be an unnatural position, and advantage doesn't actually matter, and you need, if you're moving your hand towards the ball, then it should be a handball. But as a Liverpool supporter, I can, Arsenal this isn't the first handball incident that they've had that's been this huge controversial thing. They've had like 3 or 4 of them in the last 2 years.
This is true.
So I'm like, I just, anytime it's a handball, I just sit back and grab my drink, and I'm like, all right, can't wait to see how this one unfolds. I can kind of see, is that Matty Cash that's getting smoked in the arm there?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And that was deemed a natural playing position. Like, that's incredible.
At least his back's turned, but even then, you're a professional footballer. Like, you're responsible for your body. So
yes,
yeah.
Now we've all seen it, right? When a winger's coming down the line, he's coming into the box, and a defender goes out there. What is the natural thing that defenders started doing in the last 10 years? They start putting their hands behind their back, right? So, and you still see them do that. And now you're like, yeah, you don't have to do that anymore, because if your hand's down by your side, it's a natural position if the ball hits it. But this one, and everybody knows, I'm a huge Villa fan, right? I got my Villa flag. The rest of my bar is covered in Villa stuff. So when this actually happened, I was like, oh, that's clearly a handball. What you can't see right here is the referee is pretty much watching this play wide open like this shot. And yes, Matty Cash goes in to block the ball. They think it's going to be kicked here, but it's actually kicked back here. So he slides in, and as he's sliding, he just leaves his trailing arm. That an Aston Villa fan was like, no, I'm pissed off. That should be a penalty. That should be a penalty for Fulham. I'm glad it's not, but what is come of our game? This is getting absolutely ridiculous. Brooks, I think you said something important there, but I hate what you said. We now have to define almost every single time the ball touches a hand.
Yeah.
Did it touch the hand here? Did it touch the hand there? You can't tell intention anymore. You can't. I mean,
for me, I feel like if it's deflected off something and it hits someone's arm, I mean, how do you react to that if your arm's out wide or whatever? Like some people just like naturally move their arms out of reaction sometimes. And you know what I'm saying? Like
is anybody else picturing Phoebe from Friends the way she runs? And you're like, that's her natural run. Now I would love to see a footballer run like this, and then the ball hits his hand, and they're like, well, that's a running style.
People do weird things when they play, and like when they're moving one way or other, and they're signaling to a teammate to do something or whatever, and naturally deflects off someone hits you. I mean, I just you have to. I mean, if that's rough, if it deflects off you like Gabrielle happened and it hits your arm, that's a rough one. But the Matty Cash one, when you turn and you extend your arm, that's just stupid. Like, I mean, you should trust that Martinez should save that shot first of all. But
yeah, he's not gonna. Well, yes, but does he do it on purpose? No, Matty Cash didn't do that on purpose. But again, I don't care if you do something on purpose or not. Ben, if you come into a tackle and you accidentally, break my leg without touching the ball because you didn't have any intention to break my leg, we're not going to card you or kick you out. Like, you still should be in control of your body, Brooks. I think you said that earlier. Should be in control of your body. And this is a prime example. The FIFA's got something big to deal with here. And it's not just EPL. It's not just the Bundesliga. It's not just any league. It is FIFA. They've got to start defining this because these change games. This changes games. The Newcastle Arsenal game, it was 1-1 at this point. And this was a break by Newcastle. And then it was in the box. And if this is called a handball, because in my opinion, this is a handball, a game, they have a penalty kick and it could be 2-1 Newcastle and they're walking off winners. But because that's not called, because they don't get a penalty kick and potentially score it, the ball goes down the other end. And Arsenal score a game-winning goal and make it 2-1, and they win. There's millions of pounds that are riding on these games, and everybody can just say, "Well, it's just one game." But at the end of the season, we've seen the difference between a point and 2 points. What that can do for Champions League qualification, for relegation. There are millions of pounds, dollars everywhere riding on games like this, and these decisions have to start to be correct. I'm not accepting that these are not handballs. I know VAR looked at them. I think that's wrong. I think it's terrible. I think it needs to change. This is a part of the game that is confusing the heck out of all of us who've been involved for 30 plus years.
Well, the one thing too is like, does the EPL, like the Bundesliga and MLS, do they explain why?
Yes.
What was his explanation?
But both
Matty
of them.
Cash. Yeah.
To be honest, I was just in such disbelief that they were not called handballs. I couldn't even be bothered. But essentially what they said was natural playing position and unintentional. Again, whatever. Listen, we could go on all day about this, boys. We're going to move on. But in my opinion, this is becoming a really hot topic, and it's going to start to plague the game, just like diving did several years ago, if we don't figure this out. So handball, let's start calling it correctly.